everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are breaking down the latest sports news. We have some information, of course, about the bubble. We're talking about the NFL and some drastic changes that they've made to the preseason. Before we do all that, subscribe, tap the bell, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share live with your friends. Now, here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
Fuzzy Wuzzy Chris, but I'm Jackie Ray. You can find me everywhere at J Ray the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl Britt. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. Happy Hump Day, everybody.
Yep.
Happy Hump Day. We are halfway through the week, heading into the weekend now. It's the home stretch. Okay, you guys. Let's just jump right in here. Let's talk about the NFL. So just days after the NFL's top stars called for the league to implement safety protocols as training camps are set to begin, the league has decided to make a drastic decision. In response to that Twitter campaign, the NFLPA and the NFL to get rid of preseason games, and they're also reducing the number of people on training camp rosters. They said, so players argued that it was unnecessary for athletes to travel and put themselves at risk of contracting coronavirus all for preseason games. And now each team is only going to have 80-man rosters, which is 10 less than usual for training camps. The goal here, and the reason they decided to do this, is to allow for more physical distancing in the locker rooms. And if you've been watching our show Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you know that we've questioned
plug.
Maybe not the best place to be doing this plug because whoever's watching it is already watching it. They already know, but I just had to throw it out there. We've been critical of this push to promote social distancing and physical distancing in locker rooms because football is such a contact sport, and it doesn't really matter if they're going to be 6 feet away when they're in the locker room, because on the field they're like spitting on each other, sweating on each other. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, Chris, I want to go to you on my first question here. Why do you think the season is still on if they're deeming preseason games too risky?
Oh, I told you. I feel like on this show, I've been slowly turning into like the negative Nancy when it comes to football, because it's just not making sense to have the season unless they're. I don't know how they're going to figure it out. I really don't know how they're going to figure it out. And like we talked about yesterday, I don't necessarily feel great about them getting rid of the preseason. I know that they had initially had conversations with only having 2 games, so I thought that would have been a good medium to have at least only 2 games in the preseason. But players said that they wouldn't be able to do that. So I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you. I feel like this whole season is going to be down to the wire if there's even going to be any football played. Obviously, it's going to start with college, and we're going to see how that goes. But I don't know. I'm trying to be positive and hope that there's going to be football, but I really don't have an answer for you because I don't know. I don't know because there's so many aspects to it that it's just not making it look better by the day. So I don't know.
Yeah, it is an interesting move. We'll have to pay attention and see what happens with the regular season. Now, I know yesterday, Britt, you talked about how this will affect, different players and different teams, and we're going to be talking more about this later on in the show for Britt's Takes. So, Jackie, I want to go to you and ask you this question. How do you think this is going to impact teams like the Patriots, who are getting used to a new quarterback for the first time in forever? They've experienced this new change. So how do you think they're going to deal with this?
That's the only team I care about right now, and it's only because of Cam. Everybody else, I really don't care what they do. But yeah, that's. I don't know. I'm with Chris on this one. Like, if it's not safe enough to have preseason, then why are we having a season at all? I would almost respect. I said that yesterday, that it was going to be an interesting thing. How are they going to cut down the roster? How is someone like Cam going to go out there, learn a new playbook, get acclimated to new teammates, really start gelling with his coaches and really kind of get back in the groove? And not only that, we've talked about it several times, that Cam gets in his mind a lot. I think the preseason is great to get back into yourself, learn how to turn off the noise. And now we're not doing that. We're going straight to gameplay. It doesn't make an ounce of sense. I get that the NFL does not want to lose revenue, but part of not losing revenue, and this is a conversation that we've had long before the coronavirus, part of not losing revenue is having really great games. So like these Thursday night games where the East Coast is traveling the West Coast, those are terrible games. So I don't know what the hell the NFL is doing. I clearly they're not watching the Fumble, because I believe that Britt on numerous occasions has given them plenty of other options to do besides this. And, they still haven't apologized to Colin Kaepernick either. So they don't watch the Fumble. That's half of their problem. They are not tuning in every weekday morning. That's their problem.
At 11 a.m.
Right.
Hopefully they are tuning in today, because like I said, you guys, we're going to be addressing this again in Britt's Takes at the end of the show, so make sure you tune in for that. And if there's any executives or higher ups within the NFL and you're watching, just pay attention. Maybe grab a notepad and a pen, write down some notes or something, because it might be helpful for you. Okay, let's jump into our next need to know news story. This is all about Giannis. So back in April, when the hiatus was, still kind of just starting, Giannis said that he wasn't able to work on his game very much while in quarantine because he didn't own a basketball hoop. He said, quote, "So I don't have access to a hoop. A lot of NBA players have a court in their house or something, but now I just get home workouts. I ride the bike, treadmill, lift weights, and pretty much stay sharp that way. But I don't play basketball." And I think this was surprising for a lot of people, because you would expect somebody like Giannis to have access to a court or a hoop or something. And he actually does. That whole thing was his attempt to just be a little bit sneaky, play a little bit of trickery on the rest of the NBA. He admitted on Tuesday that he was lying about not having a hoop so that he would have a leg up on his opponents. He said, quote, "Anybody out there that thought I didn't have access to a gym, they don't even know me. So I just said that to try to get a little bit ahead of competition." So he wanted everybody to underestimate him. It's like a lot of thought going into that. So, Britt, do you think that this tactic worked on other athletes? Do you think people were or are underestimating him because of that?
No, because like I said months and months ago on the Fumble, when we were talking about, poor like the players that live in apartments and whatever, I said on the show, these players are lying, because I know tons of NBA players that are doing one-on-ones in their gym. All their training facilities were technically still open. They were lying about the fact that these players weren't allowed to go in the buildings and whatever. They were doing that from the beginning, and I said that on the show. So all the players knew that all of them had access to some type of gym, whether it was their personal training facilities. If they were at home, they were unlocking, their high school gyms and stuff and letting them go in there and work out the whole entire time. So there was not one player that was fooled by Giannis's statement. A lot of y'all were fooled by it, because they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe he can't play basketball and hasn't dribbled a basketball in months." Not one NBA player believed that, because they all knew they low-key had access to stuff. They just weren't broadcasting it because they didn't want to get in trouble and not be able to use those facilities. But all of them were allowed to do it, and all of them were doing it. And I said that 3 months ago.
Britt called it from the start. Chris, do you think that a lot of players were downplaying how much time they put into their game during the hiatus?
Oh, 100%. Because right after Britt had said that, I had started seeing Knicks players. They're working there back home and wherever they're from, and they're playing their high school gyms and stuff like that. And I'm like, look, if my lowly Knicks are out here making sure they're getting work, you damn for sure know that these superstars on all these other teams are doing the same thing. So yeah, 100%. I guarantee some of these guys are downplaying. Hell, even Steph Curry, we were talking about him barely putting together his rim, but then when he's there shooting around on his hoop, that rim looked very nice. It looked like it was working just fine. So I don't know. Yeah, I think a lot of these players were definitely playing the audience and downplaying their workouts.
Well, I guess it's good to know that everybody was still putting in the work during their downtime. We're wrapping up Need to Know News a little early, unless, Jackie, you have anything you want to add to that Giannis story before we move on?
No, I just love how Chris had to find a way. Yeah, go ahead and sip that tea after you found a way.
It was just my connection. It was my connection.
You just had to do it.
Had to do it.
When nobody thinking about or talking about the Knicks, and here you go. You ain't even in the bubble. Right. You are not even in the bubble.
We're not. Just want to keep them in y'all heads, okay? All right. Just
why?
Put the little nugget. That's what I do. It's a curse.
That's why you fuzzy. That right there, that's why you fuzzy. That's why.
They're trying to warn y'all. They're like, you what this boy got to say today.
All right. Well, okay, guys. Now can you take us into the post-up?
Are you sure you want that? No, I was playing. What's up, guys? Post up with your boy Chris, Fuzzy Quarantine Edition. And first of all, we're going to start off with some news about the New York Knicks. Now, did I tell you? No, I was playing. There's no Knicks. I'm just messing
with you. I cannot with you.
No. We are talking about winning teams and players that are winning. That's all we're talking about today. Shot at my own team. There you go. But yeah, starting off, we did talk about Tobias Harris and his amazing underwritten message to the media yesterday, and a lot of players had followed in his footsteps after his media availability, starting off with Marcus Smart, who of a Marshawn Lynch approach. You saw that Tobias Harris went into a good amount of detail, left it alone. Marcus Smart just kept it straight and to the point, and I am not even mad at it. So Marcus Smart, talk to media for me, please.
I ask you about team defense, that's going to be your answer? I'm answer justice for Breonna Taylor.
Is there anything specific that you guys
are Taylor? That's my answer for everything. So, I mean, we can go and ask, but my answer is going to be justice for Breonna Taylor.
See, I don't really agree with Celtics too often, but this time I'm 100% in agreement with Marcus Smart. Shout out to Marcus Smart. But to also add on to that, CJ McCollum also had a statement for the media after he had a Zoom call with Breonna Taylor's mom, who was pretty much just showing her appreciation to not just him, but players in the league, and not even just the NBA, the WNBA, because WNBA, even though it's not being broadcasted as much as the NBA, they're out there doing, if not a little bit more, when it comes to trying to get justice for not even just Breonna Taylor, but for, it's been, unfortunately, when it comes to these situations, there's been a lot of very upsetting craziness that's happened since those murders, and the NBA has been very vocal about that. And Breonna Taylor's mom was telling CJ McCollum that in the Zoom call that she is very appreciative of that, and it helps their family keep going to know that they have people in high places that have their back. And it was really nice to hear. And to that, CJ McCollum had a message for the media when it came to talking about the same thing. So here's CJ McCollum.
Go on the record saying that Daniel Cameron is in position to arrest the cops who were responsible for killing Breonna Taylor, and still has not done that. So he's the one who's in position to potentially do that. So we want to continue to uplift people like Breonna Taylor, who are victims and haven't received the proper justice that they are due.
Yes, absolutely love it. I'm just loving that, the priorities are still straight. I'm still a little worried because, like I said, not the basketball. God, who says that? Basketball is officially starting today. Teams are going to have their scrimmages and whatnot, so we're going to be hearing more basketball coverage. You're going to be seeing more basketball videos and stuff like that, which is exciting. All of us, I'm sure, on the panel are exciting too. But then that's when the real challenge comes when it comes to talking about this movement and comes to getting justice for Breonna Taylor. So I do believe that this statement will continue to be echoed even with basketball starting back up. But it's just really awesome to see a lot of names like the two we just showed you, Jeremy Grant, and even players that superstars, they're still out there speaking on it. So I love it. I'm glad that the priorities are still straight, and I'm hoping that it stays that way throughout this season. Moving on to somebody who made an appearance in yesterday's post. Hassan Whiteside's back. Now, I don't know if he the fumble, but he just for no reason just lived life in the bubble. And you know what? He hears us singing a lot here on this show, and he felt the need to go on his IG and sing a little bit for the audience. I apologize for what I'm about to play for you guys. Hassan, you want to take it away, buddy? Oh boy. I wish I had Jesse's girl.
Yes.
Where can I find a woman like that? Jesse's girl. Let
Devin got a duet partner. Devin got a duet partner.
We need it. We need it.
That is my
we
thing.
need it.
I don't know if you guys have ever watched my IG lives, but I do karaoke on my IG lives very often, and they're absolutely terrible. One of my guy friends is actually a Grammy nominated singer, and he hates me singing, and he's like, every time you rap you sound like you're trying to sing, and when you sing you sound like you're rapping, and it's terrible. And I'm like, Whiteside
Fumble
is like
karaoke.
my other half.
We got-
to my
Yeah.
We got to do
And
a Fumble
he-
karaoke so people can see this. Yep.
What?
And I
I'm
hope that
down
we
for
can
a
have a
Fumble
host
karaoke.
on Whiteside. I hope Hasan Whiteside can host that Fumble karaoke. That'd be dope. But yeah, Hasan, I ain't even
Start the
mad at
hashtag.
On IG Live with me. Hasan, if you listen
Yep.
in, let's set up and do an IG Live
Come
karaoke
through.
together, my guy.
Can we wait? So Devin needs to do the karaoke with them though. Like they definitely need to do a duet. Like
I'd be
that
happy to.
song.
Well, do karaoke with him. We need
Wait, you
this
think
equal,
you're
which is
gonna
me.
Devin, Devin loved that.
Not always right note at the right time. You can hit a note. Hasan is like me. We can't hit a note, not a single one. So
Y'all trying to find that note for y'all song.
Oh my god.
Look,
That is
I just love when people just be enjoying
you can
themselves.
match up with Kyrie because I heard you can actually sing and Kyrie can actually sing. So y'all can go together.
Ooh.
Match up.
If you
I like that.
sing, why am I the one singing? You're
Because it's funny. Because it's funny.
Controversy.
I mean,
That's all you got because it's funny? Nah, we gonna have to do a deeper dive into this. This is controversy right here. Making Devin saying, "Well, you over here got hiding those pipes."
hey,
hold on.
first of all, she started it. She was the one who was like, "I'm gonna sing for you," and I just let it ride. You know what I mean? Let it ride.
I like it.
It's judging Devin because Jackie actually knows how to sing. She's like, can't even hit a note. Can't do this.
Britt, you know you are not right.
Oh, I believe it. We cannot see Jackie's desk. She probably got a whole notebook of
Jackie
every
could come
time
up
she
with
sung with
the whole
notes.
time. We didn't even know we were
Yeah.
underneath the tree. Jackie had to
This
shake
is
Look,
the whole
crazy.
time.
I legit have done that. I have taken friends to karaoke and they sound terrible, and I'm like, "Oh, you did so good," and then I go up there and I sing, and they're like, "Man, like what the hell?"
Like, so, time to go. We're going home now, guys. Hey, that was fun. All right, let's do that.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Anyways, but from Hasan Whiteside living his best life in the bubble, we are going to somebody else who we were expecting to be living their best life at some point, and that is Lakers' own Dion Waiters. We've got him. We got a Dion Waiters sighting being Dion Waiters, and he is out there living it up in practice. I'm not even mad at it. You know, we talk about, Dion Waiters and blah, 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 blah. Look, he's out there living his best life. We'll talk about it after he starts playing basketball. But for right now, this is what I expect from Dion Waiters. So if we can get that video up, it was just during stretch time. But look, the music's going. Everyone else doing their stretches. I don't know what Jared Dudley's doing. I don't know what the hell he's doing. But everyone else is stretching. Dion Waiters out there living his life. I love it. I have no problem with that. And what you can't see, you don't really get to see it too well in the video. But on the other side, you see Dion Waiters is looking on the other side. I give you a wild guess, connecting eyes with, dancing with on the other side of the room. I'll give you a wild guess. It is not LeBron James. It is J.R. Smith. Already connected, and I'm here for all of this. So it's great. We'll see what happens. But
separate them, put them on opposite ends of the court.
right,
That's what
Frank
you got.
Vogel knows what he's
Because
doing.
if they were next to each other,
I mean, they dancing together. That's a good sign, right? They dancing together.
Yeah, they both out there
that's
just
all they
living
need
their
to
lives.
be doing together. That's all they need to be doing.
Right,
together,
that's it. That is yes. That is the extent of what needs to be happening with those two together. That is facts on that. But that's hilarious. Love that. Well, I was waiting for it. I feel like we went too long without Dion Waiters being Dion Waiters at some point, but we got it right there. All right. So speaking of controversy, we got a little bit of a controversy right here, and I'm really curious to see what you guys got to say about this because I don't know whose side to believe when it comes to this. But Taylor Rooks is out here putting my boy, my new boy, Matisse Thybulle out on blast. Okay, now Matisse Thybulle, we all know he is a young gun, he's a youngin. But according to Taylor Rooks, during practice, Matisse didn't know who Nas was. That's what she's claiming in her tweet. Now, she dropped this tweet right here, and then also has Matisse Thybulle's response. But she dropped a tweet saying, at the 76ers practice, Nas's Ether is playing. Matisse Thybulle said, is that Joe Budden? ... Well, Matisse later on responded by saying it was supposed to be a joke, but I guess now I've let Nas down. Thanks, Taylor. Now, before we even get into this controversy, I'm just trying to find out though. What kind of practices the 76ers be having where they got a whole diss track being played during their practices? So I'm just trying to figure out like, is that what they got to do? It's dope. No, I'm not saying
it's a dope diss track though.
I'm like, yo, they gotta be like the Sixers practice gotta be real heavy. Like I'm all for that. I don't know, but I just when I found out Ether was
wait. Before we go in, Devin, do you know who Nas is?
Yeah. We gonna leave Devin. Good job. No, you were leaving Devin alone today. No, she did her, and she got 4 out of 5. Okay, we leave.
Hey, I'll be having to check on you sometimes. That's all.
No, we are on Matisse today. We are leaving Devin alone. I got you, Devin. All right, now here's the question. Matisse, his response, he's saying that it was a joke. Okay, I can see that being true, but at the same time, I can see that because it's on Twitter, I can see that being some kind of quick save. So I gotta find out from you guys. Do you believe Matisse Thybulle in this? Do you think that he was, trying to make a joke at the time? He was really trying to figure out if that was Joe Budden. I'll start with you, Jackie. Go ahead.
I think he was really trying to figure it out, and I think he was trying to save face. I think he was hey, hey, funny, just kidding. Dang. I think that's exactly what.
Devin nodded her head. What do you think, Britt?
Wait, were you?
I think it was a joke.
Okay,
you do?
I think it was a joke.
And Devin,
it's like Coming to America. What is that? Velvet? I think people say
yes.
Like that. Like, who is that? Joe Budden? Like, he knows Joe Budden just had Pump It Up. Come on, everybody knows that.
Right.
I pray, honestly. I really pray.
So. What are you saying, Devin? Talk to me.
Obviously, he was joking. I think that if he was really joking about it, people would have known, like, oh, Matisse, the jokester. But the fact that Taylor Rooks thought that he was being serious tells me that he probably was being serious.
See, and that reason is why I think I'm with Britt. I'm on side. I think he was genuinely joking. Here's the thing: from watching his vlogs, again, monster, but he has a relationship with Tobias Harris, and doing that to try to mess with Tobias Harris, and obviously what Taylor Rooks said, it worked because he was really upset about it. But I believe that he's joking with him because that's the kind of thing that would set Tobias Harris off. And also at the same time, for what you just said, Devin, it is Taylor Rooks, and I feel like she's the kind of person that would miss jokes like that. But that's just my personal opinion on that. But I don't know. So I'm kind of siding with Britt and Matisse Thybulle. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think it was a joke, but I mean at the same time, we could find it's Twitter, and he could definitely be saying that, and probably in the background like, oh shoot,
yeah.
I don't know.
Let me look. He's probably like.
He said, I think, is what you know that it's a joke, because if one of his teammates was like, "Yo, like, why did my boy Matisse not know who Nas was?"
Right,
right.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think I'm on team joke for this one. But
as he Googles Nas, I think he Googled Nas. I think that's what happened.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to see the chat. I'm trying to see what chat said before we move on. No one saying anything. All right. Well, I don't know. I think it's a joke. Move on. We'll look into it later. Yeah,
they're Googling Nas. That's what's happening. Yeah, they're like, Nas. How you spell that?
Right.
The ether.
Isn't that
ether.
I thought that's for
like
cars.
Out in the right. They on a whole JJ.
Nas had the ether song. What is going on?
Right.
I'm not. No.
Did he do a duet with Tekashi 6ix9ine? That's what they're saying right now. That's what they're saying.
We're moving off of this. We're moving on. We're now going too much disrespect. Nah, stop. All right, moving on. Okay. Oh gosh, speaking of disrespect. All right. Well. All right. We talked. You know me. I was able to find a hole and talk about the New York Knicks, and I got killed for it. But now I'm forced to talk about the other stupid team, the Brooklyn Nets. Now, as much as I hate the team, I was a fan of this gesture. It's cool because anytime anybody is giving any praise to my guy Jay Crossover, I'm here for it. I don't care if you are my most hated team in the world or if you're my most favorite team. If you're giving love to Jamal Crawford, I'm here for it. And then Brooklyn Nets did just that. Jamal Crawford posted this picture, and it was a picture of like all of his family. It was a nice little collage, and you can see the little dope design, looking like the Metro. And it was the Brooklyn Nets had put it up on his room, and he had tweeted with this picture saying, oh gosh, where's the tweet? Oh, came back to the room, and the Brooklyn Nets had this picture on my wall. Made it feel a little bit more like home. Thank you. Still got beef with y'all, but this was dope. I'm a fan of this. I think it's cool. Good for them. Like I said, you give my boy love, I'm with you on that, but that's all you're going to get from me. That's the only nice thing you can get from me today. So record it and play it on repeat. That's all I'm going to say about the Nets. Moving on to Alex Caruso, a fan favorite. A few people, I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say, but he has a few people wondering where his priorities are at. I don't necessarily agree, but whatever. We've talked about players who express that they will be leaving the bubble when it comes, because Gordon Hayward is expecting a kid. Dennis Schroeder is expecting a kid. I can't remember if he had already left for that or if he's going to leave, but it was a similar situation, and they had expected going for the birth of the children, as would be expected. Not saying that this is the same type of circumstance, but it is still a relatively big moment in your family. Alex Caruso's sister got married this past weekend, and Caruso chose to not go to it and stay within the bubble. And people had their thoughts, and I'm curious to hear what you guys had to say, but his defense on this was saying that if I was on a team that didn't have title aspirations, a team trying to hold on to the 8th seed or something like that, it might have been different, but we have worked too hard. And I get that. I hear that, but I'm really curious to hear what you ladies think about that, missing out on his sister's wedding. Do you agree with Caruso? Now, first, I think I have to go to my Laker heavy person in Jackie before I hear the opinions from the rest of the panel. So, Jackie, being that you are rooting for Caruso and Caruso has Lakers goals at heart first over his sister's wedding. Do you agree with this sentiment, or how are you feeling about this statement from Alex Caruso?
Couple things. Number one, I do agree with the sentiment because I'm not entirely sure, but I would imagine that if he did go to his sister's wedding, especially since there's going to be several people there, he would have had to re-quarantine coming back into the 100%. Bubble. So that would have delayed him. So I definitely 100% think you missed the wedding and you go into the bubble and you start practicing with your team because of the title aspirations. Second, I bet his new brother-in-law is a jerk, and he didn't have any. Because I could see him saying that, right? Because if I have to pick between going to watch you marry this jerk and going to practice with my team, I'm going to practice with my team. It's not even a question. So I need to do some intel on her new boo and her new husband, see who he is. But yeah, in all seriousness though. But yeah, if you have to re-quarantine and that puts you behind you can FaceTime, but we need to be in the bubble.
I hear you on that. And you're 100% correct, especially being that it was this past weekend. They would be quarantining, and they started scrimmages this week. So, yeah, it would have been a whole thing with him missing out, and they're already talking about giving him more minutes on the team. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to think about. All right, Devin, I got to ask you a question, putting you in a hypothetical, and I want to know your response. So, hypothetically, or not, yeah, let's just say you are Devin Caruso. You are his sister, and you found out that this is the reason why your brother Alex did not come to your wedding. How are you feeling about that?
I mean, obviously it would be a disappointment, but I think that because we're in this really crazy time where, we have a pandemic, there's a surge in coronavirus cases. I think for me, I couldn't blame him for not wanting to come out there, go to a large gathering of people, put himself at risk of getting the virus, and then missing, those scrimmages. And potentially I read that he would have to quarantine for at least 4 days, but it could be up to 10 days. So then he'd be missing that first game against the Clippers as well. So I think I would understand. I personally would not be having my wedding right now in the middle of the pandemic. So
can we talk about that part? Right. Yeah. Okay.
Unless it's a shotgun wedding. It could be a shotgun wedding. She could be, with child, and that's why. Otherwise, seriously, why are you getting married right now? Your brother's about to go in the bubble. It's the middle of a pandemic. What's the rush?
I want the details. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I want the details on that wedding. Like, was there a lot of people? What kind of wedding? What? I don't understand. Yeah, I want the details on that. We were talking about Alex Caruso.
Maybe the church was dirt cheap too, though. Like wherever they got married, maybe they got it for like pennies because no one's getting married right now. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but Britt, talk to me. How you feeling about that? What's up, Devin? Sorry.
Alex Caruso could pay for them to have a really, really nice wedding if they had to reschedule, if it meant he could go. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if the church is pennies. That guy's making enough money. He could spend $50,000 or $70,000 on a wedding. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Which leads me back to maybe brother-in-law's a jerk. Because that's a good point.
That's true.
That's making sense. How you think? What do you feel about that? You think that it makes sense for him to skip on the wedding?
Okay, so I've been getting real nervous lately because we all know Trez had to leave. We know Patrick Beverley just left the bubble yesterday for a family emergency. We know today for our scrimmage, even Landry Shamit's not playing. And I'm getting nervous because obviously we know the first game of the regular season is back to the season is Clippers and Lakers. So I'm like, okay, if Alex Caruso thinks it's so important to stay, and mind you, Alex Caruso averages 5 points a game and like 1 rebound and 1 assist. So he's not a guy that's actually doing a lot. Y'all just like him. Y'all think he's a funny, cool guy, whatever. You don't really, he's not that productive on that roster. And to me, have top guys like Trez is, battling it out for his 6th man of the year as well, along with Lou Williams, and then Patrick Beverley being a starter, and they both have left the bubble already. I'm getting a little nervous because, I don't understand what emergencies they're gone for all the time, but then the Lakers want to stay even though it's a wedding. So as a Clippers fan, I'm nervous that Alex thinks it's so important to stay, and my Clippers have been bouncing out like crazy. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm just getting a little nervous now. I'm getting a little itchy, but that's all I have to say. Because Caruso is not that productive of a player to even y'all could have been without him. It would have been fine. Yeah.
Yep.
That's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. He's literally just a fan favorite. He has his highlights, but you're 100% correct. That's a good take though. I see you on the coach. But the thing is though, Clippers are such a deep team. I think you'll be all right. I mean, you got people next man up mentality over there is heavy.
So we only have one center in the bubble right now. Only one center that is in the bubble right now.
Oh,
Britt, I can tell you one thing.
That small ball don't work that well for that Rocket
I was just gonna say the positive is you still got one more center than the Rockets, so there you can right there.
Right.
All right, and last but not least, we have a little bit. Okay, see this one. I don't know. Take this one because a lot of times Reddit has been ahead of a lot of things and they might be on to some with this one. And my Redditor went in detail on how he found out what he found out. But this Redditor, his name is Rush. He may have seen the name of Washington's, or he may have seen Washington's new name before we were even supposed to find out. Now we've talked about all the names that were in the, from the Generals to, blah, 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 blah. But according to Static Rush, who was doing some deep diving, may have found the actual name that Washington is going to go with when they make their reveal of the new name that they're going to go with, because they're not going to go with their old name, and I'm not going to say it. But Static Rush was looking into their website. It is .com, and the people who run that website and who purchased that website, which is someone within the organization, those same people have purchased a new website, and it has the possible name of the new team. If we can get those pictures, so perfect. So this is the old website. You can see the top domain name. That's all the information. Blah 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 blah. If we can get the next one up, it looks like they are going with the Sentinels. So they have the rights to the new name, DCSentinels.com. Now, again, this is run by the same everything. That's pretty much what the point of these pictures are. You're seeing everything matches up with the people who are running .com. And it's looking like that it possibly might be going with the Sentinels. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I don't know how I feel about it. I think Sentinels is cool. I think of all the names that were chosen, I think it's a good choice. But at this point, like we have said many times, any name is better than the name that they have now. Regardless of whatever they change the name to, I'm still going to not care about this team for many reasons outside of just the name. So they can have whatever name they change to. But I mean, the question here is, do you guys think that this guy might have just found something by chance and it's not set in stone that they're going with this, and they probably are the domain in case they do go with this name? Or did this boy Static Rush find the gold mine, and now he is ahead of everybody and has the name of the new name of the team. What do you guys think about that? I'll start with
I think
you,
that's
Britt.
the gold mine. I think he did it. He uncovered
You think he found it?
whatever.
I
That's
do
going to be the name.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the name.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, hands down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
That-
Shout out to that guy. He figured it out.
Static Rush, the Redditor. Yeah, that's the thing. Reddit be on top of those kind of things too. So he has the receipts, and it all matches up. So I mean, I don't see the only way I could see them going with a different name is to be because it's Dan Schneider, so he could be that petty and then just try to prove this one guy wrong for whatever reason that may be. But I think he found it. I think this was the leading name when we were talking about it last time, anyways. And so I think Static Rush might have the new name of the Washington Sentinels. That's what we're going to call them. DC Sentinels. I don't know. If there's any Washington fans in the chat, first of all, I'm sorry. And second of all, congrats on your new name. But anyways, that's it for me on Post Up. A lot of stuff there.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for that entertaining and blurry Post Up. We just loved it. Now, Jackie.
Bring in the fun.
Oh, God.
Now tell us what we not gonna do. Yes.
That lasted longer this time. See, okay, I like it.
No.
Right. All right. So look, we just talked about the Washington franchise, so this is no surprise that a lot of the owners in the NFL are pretty racist, despite the song and dance that they're putting us through now with the, hey, we kind of care. No, you don't. But I think if you are a racist, it'd probably be smart to be a racist at home, with your family and friends. Maybe not be a racist in public, especially now with all this social climate that we're in right now. But, I guess we can argue that racists aren't really that smart because the Jets, you guys, they're a horrible team. They're just, I don't know. I guess they're just as purgatory as Cleveland, but they haven't even been to the Super Bowl since 1969. And now we find out that their co-owner, Robert Woody Johnson, once again, born again racist. Not only is he a racist, he's a racist with political power. In 2017, he was picked by Donald Trump to be his ambassador to the United Kingdom, which is hilarious to me because he's supposed to unite people and he don't even like certain people. But he was appointed by 45, like I said. And side note, real quick, for those of you guys who say, oh, I just want politics to be out of football and out of sports, here's a politician, so you can kick rocks on that one because obviously owners have been using their position to get political gain for a long time, and this guy's actually in politics. And according to CNN, Woody has made racist generalizations about black men, and he questioned why we even have Black History Month, and he was doing an event for Black History Month, and he was aggravated because he was like, oh, is there going to be a whole bunch of black people here? Anyway, like I said, he made those remarks before a Black History event. And even though there are black fathers, plenty of black fathers in the world, like Chris, like my dad, that are killing the game, he said, quote, lack of black fathers that don't remain with their families is the real challenge. So funny thing, guys, the majority of the NFL is black men, and a lot of them are excellent fathers. But wait, there's more. He didn't just make disparaging comments about black people. He also makes disparaging comments about women and how they dress and how they look. CNN contacted him about this and said, hey, so you want to talk about your racism and your misogyny? And he just redirected, and he said it is an honor to serve as the ambassador and lead the talented and diverse team of the U.S. mission to the United Kingdom. And then, of course, CNN reached out to the Trump administration, and their Secretary of State said, we stand by Ambassador Johnson and look forward to him continuing to ensure our special relationship with the United Kingdom is strong. Now, he's also being investigated for using his political power to promote Donald Trump's businesses. Basically, he's an all-around jackass. I can't even imagine being a black man, though, and being on the Jets, knowing that as a black man, he thinks I'm a horrible father. He doesn't want to be around a bunch of black people anyway. So, Chris, my question is for you as the black man and as the black father on the panel. Could you work for someone like this, number one? And number two, let's say that they forced him to sell the team. would it matter? Because we know most of the owners share some type of similar sentiment.
This sounds so familiar. It's just, I feel like we've heard this somewhere before.
Time and time again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That is crazy. What a crazy development.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah. No, the same thing I said then with Don Sterling, and we, as you saw with the players, that when all of the news was finally becoming public, they were ready, as Britt has told us many times, they were ready to give up. That at the time, that was the one, if not the best Clipper team to that date ever. They were ready to just throw it all away and not play because it was that important to them to not be, trying to put money in that man's pocket. I bring them up because you asked the question if I would be able to work under him. No, I feel like it's the same sentiment. And we other than the team being bad, people have been trying to find out reasons why, guys like Jamal Adams, trying to get out, or other players don't even want to sign there. This might be just known knowledge. The unfortunate part is what you just said, is the fact that you force him out, they might not get a Steve Ballmer. You force him out, you're probably going to get somebody with the same ideals that's just better at hiding it, that's going to end up taking over and running that team. So, but to answer the initial question, no, I would definitely not want to work for it. It's an unfortunate situation because, it might be your opportunity to, take the next step, whether it is as a player or whether it is somebody in the front office. But in that same breath, like, me being who I am and what I believe in is a bit more important. I'm sure another opportunity will come. So no, I would not be able to 100%, especially with all this coming out. It's crazy.
I think it's tough though, because aside from someone getting caught like this, no matter who you play for, you're probably playing for somebody with similar sentiments. Same thing. So technically you just don't go to the NFL. But so like I said, nothing at the NFL at this point matters to me because they've proven who they are. They've proven what they believe in. But they are warming up their vocal cords to continue this song and dance that they are doing for us. So what we not going to do is really give the NFL some recognition for warming up their vocal cords to pretend that they give a damn, because we know that they don't, because they have blackballed Colin Kaepernick for kneeling in protest of white cops who continually get away with murdering black people. By the way, they still have not apologized for that, like I said, but they are going to now allow the names of these victims to be on the helmets of their players. So I don't know how I feel about this. I know people, when I say, the NFL isn't doing anything for the black community, they'll say, what about the $250 million that they pledged? Yeah, it's like $2 million a year, guys. It's over 10 years. That's like me giving up $200 a year. Stop it. Now you want black men that you've already kind of stood against, given random drug tests to, like Eric Reed, who stood with Colin Kaepernick. You blackballed Colin Kaepernick. You won't apologize to Colin Kaepernick for protesting against this very police violence. But now you want to allow these players to wear these names, the victims' names, on their helmet to show your solidarity. What in the hypocritical hell is going on? I do not understand any of this. I don't understand. I couldn't do it. I understand what the players might mean if they do it, but I don't understand why the NFL is doing it. And if it makes zero sense to me. So Devin, I have to ask you, what does this mean? I don't understand.
I don't know what it means either, because it seems like just another performative technique that they're showing to be like, hey, don't worry, we're actually not racist. We actually care. And I feel like they've been doing a lot of these empty shows of solidarity, but there really hasn't been a lot of true change. Like you said, that $250 million that they're donating, it sounds amazing, but when you consider that it really is only about $2 million a year, it's like it kind of loses its value. It loses its impact a little bit, because this is a league that has so much money coming into it. What I'd really like to see is guys like this Woody Johnson that you just talked about losing their job or their ownership. We need to see more black head coaches. We need to see known racists outed from their organizations. It really shouldn't be this hard. And I think it's great that they're drawing attention to the names of victims. I think cool, but like at this point, we just need to see a lot more action.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably wear someone's name on my helmet just because I think it's important to keep the names on the forefront. But at the same time, I would feel really weird doing it, knowing that you outed someone else for protesting that very thing. It's a weird dynamic for me, but that's all I have. But before we go, you guys, I want to remind you once again that we're taking donations in support of the Equal Justice Initiative. The Equal Justice Initiative is an incredible nonprofit organization that provides legal representation to prisoners who may have been wrongfully convicted of crimes, poor prisoners without effective representation, and others who may have been denied a fair trial. We are so close to our goals, so please take a moment and donate via the link below or a super chat. You can donate right now as I tell you about James Bain. Now, James Bain spent more time in prison for a crime he did not commit than any other American exonerated, and he was exonerated through DNA evidence, but it took 35 years to do it. The time an innocent man spends in jail is always heartbreaking, but it's also heartbreaking to kind of really think that the family doesn't get justice either, because in March 4th of 1974, a 9-year-old boy was sleeping at his home in Lake Wales, Florida, and he was dragged to a baseball field and raped. The victim told police that his assailant appeared to have been a 17 or 18-year-old man and had a mustache and bushy sideburns. According to the victim, the man said his name was Jim or Jimmy. The victim's uncle thought this description sounded a lot like Jimmy Bain. So the police questioned James at his home on the 5th. He claimed that he had been at home watching television at the time of the attack, and an alibi that was supported by his sister, but the police arrested him anyway. In spite of the conflicting evidence and his alibi, he was convicted of rape, kidnapping, and burglary and sentenced to life in prison. And the prosecution's case rested largely on the victim's identification in a photo lineup. In 2001, after approved DNA testing, the state sent the DNA and found the victim's underwear and the DNA at the DNA Diagnostic Center. The testing excluded Bain as a source of the DNA, and the Polk County State Attorney Jerry Hill then joined the defense in a motion to declare Bain innocent. And on December 17th, 2009, a judge signed an order releasing him from prison after 35 years, and he was 54 years old. We've told you guys a lot of stories like this, and this is why we are working with the Equal Justice Initiative. So please take a moment and join this movement. There's a donation link below where you can send donations directly to the fund. Anything helps, and we are glad that we can share this awesome opportunity with you guys to donate. So please, please, please take a moment and donate so we can help people like this. And if you want to learn more about the Equal Justice Initiative, you can visit their website at eji.org. Thank you guys so much for you guys doing what you have so far. We're really close to our goal, so please keep donating. And right now, let's get Chris back up here with me because, now we got the whole panel, so you can do it for everybody. You ready, Chris?
I'm ready.
All right, because it is time for Britt Takes.
Britt Takes.
Okay, just before I get into it, you guys, 250 million over 10 years isn't 2 mil, it's 25 mil a year.
My bad. My bad.
I love you guys so much, but I
was just talking super fast. Sorry.
I'm bad at
Guys, it's 25 million, not 2 million.
That's what happens when you talk really fast, right? It's still not enough money for the NFL.
I'm not even going to say it's because you were talking fast. I just literally am bad at math, so.
Okay, so now that I've gotten that out, because I had to make sure.
You should have said it while we were talking, Britt.
I thought Devin, when she went on, she was going to say like, oh, it's actually this. And then she said 2 million too. And I was just like, okay, am I?
And that's when you should say, guys.
Oh, boy.
It's still not enough. I just want to put that out there. It's still not enough.
Yeah, it's still not enough. No.
That's facts.
Okay, I'm going to go through my take now. Okay. Earlier,
that's why I'm an English major.
The NFL and them canceling all of their preseason games for this particular season. So I wanted to delve into that situation a little bit more because, as you guys know, there's a few things that I always say all the time. Say no to participation trophies. And my second one is never let a freshman/rookie take your spot. That motto seems to be reigning heavy on this 2020 season because the current players right now, the vet players, did a check to make sure a freshman didn't take their spot. I thought this was one of the most selfish things that NFL vets could do, in complaining about, oh, the social distancing aspect and you guys aren't doing enough, because they didn't want their spot to get taken, is what I feel. I feel like a lot of these vet players maybe didn't put in as much work as they would have wanted to during this time, and they just use this opportunity and their platforms that they have to then put the blame the NFL not doing enough for social distancing, because like I said a million times before, you cannot social distance in the NFL. So what is the point of cutting rosters down and doing this, that, and the third in order to guarantee that you're helping with social distancing, when then you just go out on the field and you hit each other and do all this kind of stuff and you're all on top of each other? I think the NFL players, the vets, kind of low-key did a disservice to the league, because now they're not going to have that much competition to go up against, and they're not going to have to try as hard, because now, as we know, there are going to be 10 less players at training camp, and they're not going to have any preseason games. So all of this this thing affects the NFL in enormous situations I can't even begin to explain. So as we know, this past offseason, back in March, the NFL decided to agree upon a CBA, which doesn't go into effect until next season. The issue with that is a lot of players, as we had heard before, like the Richard Shermans and Aaron Rodgers and stuff, they were all very much so against the CBA agreement, and they did not want players to sign it. But as we had also talked about before, a lot of these younger guys are the majority of the league. You know, there's only a couple stars per team, but the majority of these low-tiered players that don't make that much money. And guess what? Those were the players that voted on the CBA. And I know it was a close vote. It was like 1,000 and something to 900 and something. And there was a couple hundred players that actually didn't even vote. But the CBA ended up getting signed and getting approved. And all the star players were really pissed off about it, because everything that really the majority of the CBA actually positively affected the lower tiered players and not the top salaried players in the league. So just to like really quick brief you guys again, if you guys don't remember, active game rosters, we know the active game rosters is actually 46 players that actually suit up for a game to play. That was going to change to 48 players. Practice squad was moving from 10 to 12 players, and then the 53-man roster was going to increase to 55 players. We also know that the bottom-tiered players were by 2030 going to get as much of an increased salary as $1.5 million. We all know now it's about $300,000. So that number was going up drastically year by year for these bottom-tiered players. But obviously these top guys, their salaries and their opportunities weren't changing very much. So they were really pissed off at this CBA. But now they have been able to get the bottom-tiered players back, because now a lot of those guys are not even going to have a chance to try out for a roster or play in a game, because all these top-tiered players use their voice again, and this time it worked to where they could get all of these bottom-tiered players basically cut before they even get to make it. We all know, obviously, the rookies coming in, if you were drafted, possibly you still have a job and get an opportunity to go to training camp. But most teams sign about 10 to 12 undrafted rookies to join them in training camp. Now, a lot of those guys are receiving phone calls. They probably did yesterday, as they were literally probably on a plane headed, because we all know the rookies were reporting yesterday to training camp. We all know a lot of those rookies probably received phone calls at the last second or right when they opened the door to the facility saying, turn around, son, because we actually have to cut you before you even get to attend training camp, because now we have to cut 10 guys that we had anticipated being at training camp. So this is very unfortunate. This is like probably one of the craziest things to ever happen. And we all know the preseason is for these guys, preseason moments. So now we already have lost 10 of those guys. And now there's another group of players that are fighting to actually make that 53-man roster, because again, the 55-man doesn't change until next season. 2 extra guys added, a practice squad and whatnot, doesn't change till next season. So now you have roughly 12 guys that are having the opportunity to fight for those roster spots, right? of those guys, they're going to have to fight for those spots based off of what they do in practice. What are they going to do in practice? Like, we all know, since Adrian Peterson got hurt during a preseason game, no top star, unless you're possibly a quarterback or new receiver, or you're just on a new team, really even plays in preseason. You might play a couple downs in a first quarter or whatnot, but you're not on the field during preseason. I know tons of guys that, like, if they're top tiered players on contracts, you don't see them not once in preseason. They don't even dress out anymore. Like, they don't play preseason because they don't want to have those opportunities like the Adrian Peterson, where you can get hurt and end up being out for the rest of the season because of it. So the preseason is not for these top guys at all. The preseason is for these other guys that are trying to make the roster. And now removing those 10 guys from training camp and then removing preseason doesn't negatively affect the top guys. I actually spoke with several guys yesterday and early on Monday, when we were just kind of talking about the possibility of losing all the preseason games. And they said, okay, yeah, maybe game one now you see a situation where game one is a little sloppy, but they're so used to not playing in preseason anyway that it doesn't really negatively affect their game. They actually were happy about it because they said, now we're going to have a chance to be healthier, even though, like, I was taking it as, well, you guys might get injured more and you guys might have more whatever because you guys haven't had a chance to really get your build up to the level that you need to be in during regular season. But I totally didn't take into account all the top guys that don't play in preseason anymore anyway. Like, they just play a couple downs. So they all thought, our bodies are already conditioned to this. It's the younger guys that are going to be the ones getting injured or having to whatever because they're not used to this moment. But as far as the vets are concerned, most of them have already conditioned their bodies and they already know what they need to do in training camp to get them to a place that they can start week one without having really played any preseason time and be effective in that game. So they don't actually have to deal with any of this, like, they are literally going to be smooth coasting. Yes, we will see a game one of the season that's going to be a little less than our standard is for watching football. But after that, I think these vets already know what to do and already have stuff situated. It's really going to affect, like I said, these rookies, guys like Tom Brady and Cam Newton and stuff who are new with teams. And guys, I mean, look at AJ Green. AJ Green is one of the better receivers in the league, but now he's going to have Joe Burrow, who is coming in and not played quarterback position before in the NFL, and he's going to have to learn to throw to him. So even guys that are already vets have to deal with these either rookie quarterbacks or vice versa. It's going to be vet quarterbacks that have to deal with these new receivers coming in. And this isn't stuff that you can pass all you want to during the preseason or during practice, but when you're going up against different offenses or different defenses is when you really learn how to trust your receivers and your quarterbacks. That's when they gain their trust, is learning how to go up against different zone defenses or different, if against a 4-3 versus a 3-4 defense, different things like that are really going to change. And your team's defense might be one different way than another team will. So it's going to be hard for these teams to build this trust in situations like that. Obviously, there's going to be teams that are going to the Saints are going to luck out because they have Drew Brees, they have Michael Thomas, they already have this bond with each other. They have Alvin Kamara, already has this bond with each other, and they're going to do just fine. I think my Cowboys are going to do just fine offensively, but there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to have to deal with this transition, and it's not going to help them out at all. So was this a moment of justice for the NFL moving forward? No, it's not. Not only are we missing out on the opportunity to have these guys come in, but now these guys that probably could have made a 53-man roster, even though they were undrafted or unsigned, that now don't even get an opportunity to be in training camp, are now going to have to sit a whole year without playing football. It is so hard to come back after you've set out for a year playing football. And to how important undrafted players are, I mean, Tom Brady was undrafted. Or sixth-round draft pick, sorry. He was a sixth-round draft pick. Tony Romo was undrafted. Kurt Warner was undrafted. Warren Moon was undrafted. Ryan Clark was undrafted. There are so many players. Antonio Gates, who is hands down one of the best tight ends of all time was undrafted. So you're going to have so many players like this that like might not ever get a chance to play now, because taking a whole year off football is not really ideal, especially so young in your career when you need to keep those wheels moving in order to, because you don't know how to condition the same, haven't been around these top tier trainers that can train you to get in those positions. And now all these players are missing out on potential money that they could have earned. So they don't have any money to pay people to train them for a whole entire year until next year comes up, when now they're going to be competing against these college guys that who knows, be having a college season. I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen with that yet. There's so much that this negatively affects the league. It's not even funny. Like, yes, now next year we'll have 2 extra spots for people here and 2 extra spots for there. Total, really, you're getting 4 extra spots on rosters, 4 players, 2 of them practice squad and 2 of them on the regular squad that you're getting added for this new CBA. And now there's going to be 10 plus players literally per team that could have made a roster that don't even get this opportunity, that now are going to go into this fall without playing football and then try to come back next year and compete with now the kids that played in college too, if we do have a college season. This moment is literally going to change football and how we see it. And some guys that were stars and had the opportunity to play and get a chance to play, we're never going to get to see them. We're going to miss out on guys that could have been the Antonio Gateses or the Tony Romos of the league or whatever the case is. And it is devastating. This is probably one of the most devastating moments I've seen as far as NFL protocol is concerned. I think it's crazy because the only point of them doing this was so they could do social distancing in the locker room, which I said before a million times doesn't even matter. So I guess cheers to you, Vets, because you got what you wanted. Now a freshman or a rookie is not going to take your spot because you've put them in a position to where they can't even try to make the team and beat you out on something. Chris, my question's going to go to you here. Do you think star players were selfish in this moment and knew how what they were doing is actually going to affect the lower tiered players, and they were just trying to get back at them because of them signing the CBA?
Yes and no. I don't think they were trying to get back at them for that. I mean, I could definitely see that being the case if that is what it ends up being, but I don't think that they were doing this out of malicious intent like that. I do believe that they did choose themselves over their rookie teammates or the younger teammates because, that, you know, like you said, they know that they aren't even going to play preseason anyway. So it's like, okay, we can get rid of it. Gives us more rest because we were going to rest during the preseason regardless. But I don't think that they chose that to get back at them for the decision they made with the CBA. I don't see that being the intent from the players. But it just sucks that what works out for them is not going to work out for the younger players. I honestly think that the NFL should extend the amount of players that can go on a practice squad. I feel like, I mean, it's not a big change, but I think it's something that could, you know, at least help, because then, yes, you're cutting players, but at least with the younger players, like you said, the undrafteds that you wanted to see in the preseason, at least you can then, instead of cutting them, put them on your practice squad and extend the amount of players on the practice squad. So then next year, hopefully when everything is hopefully back to normal, then you can bring them back up and then try it all over again a year later. But I don't know. As far as the question, I don't think that it was an intentional thing to attack players. I think it was just, you know, it works out better for the veterans. So they're going with that.
Well, like I like to say as well, it's not your intent, it's the impact. And this is going to negatively affect the impact of those younger guys who, you know, could have potentially ended up being stars and stuff like that. So I think it's a really unfortunate moment. The practice squad thing could be an option, but then now again, you're just bringing more people into the room. So at that point, you should have just done that during training camp and had those people be there during training camp, because a large part of preseason that a lot of people don't realize is you're not just auditioning for the team you are currently on the training for, you're auditioning for the 31 other teams, because we see it all the time, especially just us watching Hard Knocks and stuff like that. You see players that everyone kind of likes, they just don't end up gelling with that team, or like, you know, you go up against these other teams during preseason and then one of those teams you went against ends up signing you on their roster or their practice squad because they feel like you would, wow, that guy really defended us against us very well. Let's get him on our team, since this team didn't. They already had too many secondary guys, and we could use a guy like that. So this is a sad moment. I really wish they wouldn't have cut the training camp situation. I really wish they would have at least had a couple guys, or at least a preseason game or 2 preseason games. And I don't know the option that these guys have much option. And it's very unfortunate to know that, oh, I got signed in after the draft to join this team, and, you know, guys gearing up for training camp, that now that they got a call yesterday that they won't be able to attend. So it's a sad moment. I'm probably going to cry in the car after this. Devin, that was a Friday reference.
That's great.
Guys.
All right, you guys. Well, that wraps up our show for the day. I also will go cry in the car for just screwing up that math issue earlier, so it'll be
same car.
So I'll pick you guys up in my Nissan Altima. See you guys in just a little bit. We'll have a nice
Oh my God.
I'll join you. You guys tried to fit in the Knicks, and you guys made fun of me, so I'll join you guys.
And you're fuzzy. And you're fuzzy.
Yeah, I'll cry with you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm rolling too.
All right, you guys. Well, we have to go cry now, but we'll be back again at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. Subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, wash your hands, wear a mask, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Oh yeah.